Petersburg is the hub from eastern Tennessee and the deep south, and more importantly, they have a railroad going to Wilmington, North Carolina. What would they want from Wilmington, North Carolina?
Ammo from ships.
Ammo and firearms from Europe. In 4 years, the Confederate States of America brings in 600,000 small arms. A lot of firearms. So, Grant is slowly chewing Lee's army up. In 7 weeks of fighting, the Confederates lose 35,000 casualties. Grant loses 65,000 casualties. That's the nastiest fighting we've ever had. So 65,000 Union soldiers are killed, or wounded, or captured, and then 35,000 Confederates. And they're knocking on the front door of Petersburg. After the Battle of Cold Harbor, Grant sneaks away and goes down to North Bend Plantation, which is called Wine Oak, a little peninsula on the James River. And if you know your military history, Julius Caesar was one of the first folks that ever put in a pontoon bridge when he went across the Rhine River to scare the barbarians half to death. They weren't really barbarians, they were Germanic tribes, but they considered them barbarians. So, they put a pontoon bridge in, they moved Sheridan's cavalry and the 9th Corps, and then here at Wilcox's Landing, they put another 3 Union Corps, and they're heading over toward Petersburg, but they do not catch Lee off of guard enough that he's not able to put troops in there to keep it from being captured. Now, had they been able to capture Petersburg, that would have meant what would they had to have done with Richmond? They would have had to have abandoned it.
Yeah.
Because it would have been cut off from supplies from the further south. Now, Richmond, in 4 years, the Tredegar Iron Works will cast 1,100 cannons. They'll make 369,000 artillery projectiles. They also build a submarine at Tredegar. Anybody ever been in the Navy? All right, if you're in the Navy and you're on a sub, you want to be able to go down, but what's more important?
Come back up.
Come back up. Now, the Hunley had the submerging down pat. They were really good at that. Even killed Mr. Hunley, the inventor of it. But the coming back up part wasn't something they had completely mastered. So, from June 18, 1864 till April 2nd, 1865, in that 10-month time period, you will have the siege of Petersburg, but more importantly, it should be called the Richmond-Petersburg Campaign. Because if you look at your maps, it's not just earthworks around Petersburg, but it's also earthworks around what?
Richmond.
Richmond. The Confederates have to occupy 70 miles of entrenchments with less men than what they have on the Union side. Now, what becomes the Union logistical base for the war in that area? A little town
City
right
Point.
on the Appomattox River called City
Hopewell.
Point. How many of you have ever been to City Point before? Okay. There you go. When I was that young man's age, my grandfather Moore took me to City Point. He had a blue 1972 Plymouth that the trunk started about here, or ended here, and about over this nice lady over there is where the hood ended. Pop had 2 speeds, slow and too fast. Loved riding with him because I thought I was in a cop car, but you know, we all had a good time. So City Point was the logistical base that Grant will set up with Rufus Ingalls as the quartermaster general. Everyone always likes to study what in military history?
Battles.
Battles and leaders. The Duke of Wellington, who defeated Napoleon Bonaparte, said that historians study battles, but generals study what? Logistics. The actual beans, bullets, and bacon that you need in order to fight a campaign. Thousands of ships were coming up the James River and landing food supplies, ammunition, and people to be able to fight in this battle. Now, the Confederates have entrenched up here in Richmond. They've entrenched around Petersburg. Grant will try to strike at Cole Harbor earlier, and he was decimated. So his main strategy is to stretch. If you look at your other maps, look at the one that I handed you here. Look at the road network. Look at the railroad network. You've got the Norfolk and Petersburg Railroad. You've got the Jerusalem Plank Railroad.
I'll go on to Petersburg.
The Wheeldon Railroad, that's the one that goes to North
That still
Carolina
ends there at City Point.
and links you with Great Britain. So you can all see the rail network here in Petersburg. Got the rail line coming from Suffolk. Got a road here. Got the road coming. Got the railroad coming from